Chapter 2, we finally hear from Krishna. Although Krishna is certainly the most famous person in the Bhagavad Gita, we don't hear from him at all except when he blows his conch shell in the first chapter. Arjuna instead got to do all of the talking when he was sharing his concerns about why he didn't want to fight this fight, because his grandfather Bhishma Dev and his uncle Dhritarashtra and his cousin Duryodhana and many other cousins and many other friends and well-wishers were on the side of the Kauravas, and Arjuna knew he was going to have to fight them, and that wouldn't look very good, because these are my well-wishers, these are my seniors, these are my family members, so I don't want to fight this fight, Krishna. And even if I was going to fight this fight, I don't think fighting is a very good thing to do actually, which is a funny thing to say for a man who's made himself and his reputation on the battlefield. Now suddenly Arjuna's feeling like, I don't want to fight. Fighting causes so much social unrest. Fighting creates difficult situations for people's families because dads don't come home and then mom and children are left just to fend for themselves. And all these are really good points that most of us would say when it comes to war. We would all agree war is bad. And yet Krishna has especially chosen to have this conversation of the Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to help all of us, including Arjuna, recognize that in and of itself, no activity is bad. It's actually the consciousness by which we do something that actually determines whether it's ultimately beneficial or ultimately going to harm and hurt ourselves and others. And so Arjuna's premise that fighting is bad is going to be challenged by Krishna beginning in this second chapter. And Krishna brings out all of the philosophy of the entire Bhagavad Gita in this second chapter. He goes from not saying anything to literally saying everything after Arjuna has his panic attack. And this is to again help Arjuna come to a place where he's actually ready to listen. Because Arjuna concludes that I'm not going to fight, and yet at the same time he asks Krishna to give him instruction. So many of us do this also. We already have an idea of what the right answer is, and we look for so-called guides, so-called gurus, so-called advice that's just going to confirm what we've already decided. And so to help Arjuna out of that idea that I'm being submissive, although he already has in mind what the end should be, Krishna is going to overload Arjuna in this second chapter with all of the philosophy of the body and the soul and the nature of the soul and consciousness and the nature of the material energy around us and what to do about it and what right action is and what wrong action is and what the ultimate experience is. He's going to give him all of that, which he'll actually lay out slowly and methodically through the rest of the Bhagavad Gita in a kind of overwhelming way to help Arjuna recognize that you're not actually in a place yet where you're ready to hear and take my good advice. But because I love you, I want you to be in that place, and so I'm going to help you get there.